What if I told you that your dream life isn't built in some giant leap, but in the next 5 minutes? Not next year. Not after you have more time or more money. It starts with one small win. We've been told that success demands massive action. But the truth is, greatness is built brick by brick. Small wins compound. Tiny habits shape destinies. This is your moment to stop chasing the big breakthrough and start stacking the small victories. Because your dream life, it's closer than you think. Number 1. Define the win that matters most. You can't win a game if you don't know what you're playing for. That's the first mistake people make when trying to build their dream life. They move, but they're not moving toward anything clear. They work hard, hustle all day, and stay busy. But without direction, busy becomes burnout. You must define what winning looks like for you. Not for your boss, not for your parents, not for Instagram, but for you. Start with this question. What does a great day look like in your dream life? Not a fantasy day in some mansion or on a beach, but a realistic, fulfilling day where you're growing aligned with your purpose and proud of who you're becoming. Get specific. Do you want to write a book, build a business, run a marathon, spend more time with your family, be financially free? Good. Now zoom in. Here's the key. Break down that dream into a single simple win you can achieve today. If your goal is to write a book, your win could be writing 100 words. If you want to be healthier, maybe it's skipping the soda and drinking water. If you dream of financial freedom, your win might be tracking your spending for the day. Don't aim for the mountaintop right now. Just take the first step. When you define the win that matters most, something shifts. You stop living reactively. You stop spinning your wheels in other people's agendas. You stop measuring your worth by likes or outcomes. You begin to own your path, one intentional step at a time. Think of small wins like seeds. If you plant the right ones, they grow into powerful habit. But if you never define which seeds to plant, you'll end up growing weeds, wasted days, wasted effort, wasted potential. The dream life you want isn't a mystery. It's a formula. Clarity, passion, a progress. And clarity always comes first. But don't just define any win. Define the right win. One that's aligned with your long-term vision. One that feels honest to who you are. One that even if no one else saw it, would still make you proud. That's how you build internal motivation. The kind that doesn't burn out. Because it's not fueled by external applause. And here's one more thing. Your win should be within reach today. Not someday. Not when conditions are perfect. It should be something you can do in the next 15 minutes, if you really wanted to. The easier it is to win, the more likely you are to start. And once you start, momentum does the rest. So stop waiting for clarity to arrive on its own. Choose it. Name the win that matters. Write it down. Make it real. Because when you define the win, you take the first real step toward building the life you've always wanted. And that's where the journey begins. Number 2, shrink the goal, not the dream. Here's the truth. Your dream can stay big, bold, and beautiful. But your next step needs to be small. Too many people abandon their dreams, not because they didn't care enough, but because they tried to do too much, they aimed to overhaul their life in one giant move. Got overwhelmed and gave up. But you don't have to shrink your dream. You just have to shrink the entry point. Big goals are exciting, but they can also be paralyzing. When something feels too big, your brain sees it as it feels risky, uncertain, exhausting. That's why motivation fades after the initial rush. But if you make the goal so small it feels impossible not to do, you remove friction, you bypass resistance, you lower the emotional cost of starting, and starting is everything. Let's say your dream is to get in shape. Don't aim for an hour-long gym session every day from the start. Shrink it. Start with one push-up, one walk around the block, one healthy meal. Too small, that's the point. Because once you're in motion, the rest becomes easier. Momentum loves movement, and consistency beats intensity every single time. If you want to become a writer, don't commit to writing a chapter. Commit to writing a single sentence. Want to build a business? Don't try to launch the whole thing this weekend. Make one phone call. Research one tool. Create one idea. Shrinking the goal doesn't make you lazy. It makes you strategic. You're outsmarting your brain's tendency to freeze in the face of big tasks. The magic of shrinking the goal is that it unlocks the door to consistent action. And consistent action is what transforms your identity. Every time you follow through on a tiny win, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. You're proving to yourself that you're the kind of person who shows up, that you can be trusted to keep a promise, even if it's a small one. This strategy works because success is never about doing something once. It's about doing the right thing repeatedly, and repetition only happens when the barrier to entry is low. If your standard is perfect, you'll if your standard is possible, you'll build momentum every day. And momentum is the real secret to a dream life. Remember, you don't need to overhaul your life. You just need to do something slightly better than yesterday. That's it. Dream big, but act small. Keep the vision, but master the micro step. Because big goals may inspire you, but small goals will move you. So today, take your big audacious dream and ask yourself, what's the smallest version of this I can do right now? Then do it. Not because it's impressive, but because it's doable. And the more doable it feels, the more consistent you'll become. And that consistency, that's what builds the life you once thought was out of reach. One small, smart step at a time. Shrink the goal, not the dream. Here's the truth. Your dream can stay big, bold, and beautiful, but your next step needs to be small. Too many people abandon their dreams, not because they didn't care enough, but because they tried to do too much, they aimed to overhaul their life in one giant move, got overwhelmed and gave up. But you don't have to shrink your dream. You just have to shrink the entry point. Big goals are exciting, but they can also be paralyzing. When something feels too big, your brain sees it as it feels risky, uncertain, exhausting. That's why motivation fades after the initial rush. But if you make the goal so small it feels impossible not to do, you remove friction, you bypass resistance, you lower the emotional cost of starting. And starting is everything. Let's say your dream is to get in shape. Don't aim for an hour-long gym session every day. From the start, shrink it. Start with one push-up, one walk around the block, one healthy meal. Too small, that's the point. Because once you're in motion, the rest becomes easier. Momentum loves movement, and consistency beats intensity every single time. If you want to become a writer, don't commit to writing a chapter. Commit to writing a single sentence. Want to build a business? Don't try to launch the whole thing this weekend. Make one phone call, research one tool, create one idea. Shrinking the goal doesn't make you lazy. It makes you strategic. You're outsmarting your brain's tendency to freeze in the face of big tasks. The magic of shrinking the goal is that it unlocks the door to consistent action. And consistent action is what transforms your identity. Every time you follow through on a tiny win, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. You're proving to yourself that you're the kind of person who shows up, that you can be trusted to keep a promise, even if it's a small one. This strategy works because success is never about doing something once. It's about doing the right thing repeatedly, and repetition only happens when the barrier to entry is low. If your standard is perfect, you'll rarely if your standard is possible, you'll build momentum every day, and momentum is the real secret to a dream life. Remember, you don't need to overhaul your life. You just need to do something slightly better than yesterday. That's it. Dream big, but act small. Keep the vision, but master the micro step. Because big goals may inspire you, but small goals will move you. So today, take your big audacious dream and ask yourself, what's the smallest version of this I can do right now? Then do it. Not because it's impressive, but because it's doable. And the more doable it feels, the more consistent you'll become. And that consistency, that's what builds the life you once thought was out of reach. One small, smart step at a time. Stack wins like a pro. Small wins by themselves are powerful, but when you start stacking them, everything changes. One push-up won't get you in shape. One healthy meal won't transform your body. One day of discipline won't change your life. But one win, stacked on another and another, that's where real transformation begins. That's how you build unstoppable momentum. Think of your daily actions like laying bricks. Each brick might not look like much, but over time, they build a fortress of habits, identity, and resilience. The people who live their dream lives didn't wake up one day and suddenly arrive. They stacked. They added one intentional win at a time. They didn't skip steps. They compounded effort. Stacking wins works because it gives you proof. It silences the self-doubt. Every small win is a receipt that says I showed up. When you look back after a week, a month, a year, you realize you've created a track record of consistency. And consistency is more powerful than intensity. Anyone can get fired up for a weekend, but the people who win are the ones who build streaks. Let's say you've defined your win and you've shrunk your goal. Great. Now comes the next step. Repeat. Don't try to be impressive. Try to be relentless. 1 page a day becomes 10 minutes of walking a day becomes 60 hours of movement. $5 saved daily becomes $1,825 in a year. That's the power of stacking. Here's a simple mindset shift. Instead of asking, did I do enough today? Ask, did I stack one win today? That question keeps you focused on progress, not perfection. You're not chasing perfection, you're collecting wins. And those wins stack into confidence, strength, and capability. What makes this strategy even more powerful is that small wins often lead to bigger wins without forcing. You do one push-up and decide to do 5. You write one sentence and end up writing a page. You save $5 and get inspired to build a budget. Small wins create emotional momentum. They feel good, they reward effort, and that feeling pulls you forward. Stacking also builds trust with yourself. Most people don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they break promises to themselves too often. But when you show up, even in the smallest way, you rebuild that trust brick by brick. You prove to yourself that you're capable of following through. So make it a mission, win once a day, just once. And if you can, stack another, and another. Soon, you won't just be building habits. You'll be building a lifestyle, a dream life, constructed out of consistent, intentional win. Remember, you don't need to conquer the mountain today. You just need to stack the next step. Stack like a pro, because the person who wins big, they're just someone who stacked small wins longer than everyone else. Keep stacking, keep showing up. Your dream life is built in layers, one win at a time. Number 4, track the streak, not just the goal. What gets measured, gets mastered. It's one of the most powerful truths in behavior change, and yet most people don't apply it. They set goals, they take action, but they don't track the journey. And that's a mistake, because tracking your streak of small wins is what turns a spark into a fire. Here's why. Goals give you direction, but streaks give you momentum. Every time you track a small win, you're telling your brain, this matters. You're reinforcing the identity of someone who shows up. And when that identity starts to take root, you stop trying to force motivation. You start operating from belief. Let's say you've committed to writing 100 words a day. On the first day, it feels small. On the second day, it still feels small. But after a week, you've got a streak. You can see the chain growing. And suddenly, you're not just writing, you're protecting your progress. That's when consistency locks in. You don't want to break the chain, not because of fear, but because of pride. And here's the beauty of tracking streaks. It makes progress visible. Most transformation happens slowly and quietly. You don't always feel different day to day. But when you have a visual reminder, a calendar with X's, a habit tracking app, a notebook with check marks, you start to see the truth. You're further along than you thought. You are making progress. You just needed to see it. James Clear said it best. Don't break the chain. Even one win a day is enough to keep the streak alive. And the longer the streak gets, the more motivated you become to keep it going. That's not pressure. It's power. You're no longer relying on willpower. You're tapping into momentum. But here's an important mindset shift. Focus on the streak, not perfection. If you miss a day, don't beat yourself up. Reset the streak and start again. The goal is not an unbroken record. The goal is consistency over time. Progress, not punishment. What matters most is that you notice the lapse, course correct, and re-engage quickly. One missed day is just a bump. 2 missed days is a new pattern. Don't let that second miss happen. You can use anything to track: a habit app, a paper calendar, a whiteboard, or even a sticky note on the fridge. What matters is that you see your effort. That visual cue reminds you daily. I'm building something, I'm becoming someone, I'm showing. And over time, this habit becomes addictive. You start to crave the win. You look forward to marking it down. You realize that every check mark is a brick in the foundation of your dream life. And the longer your streak, the stronger your foundation becomes. So ask yourself today, what streak do I want to start? Then pick the smallest version of that habit and commit to tracking it for a week. 1 week turns into 2, 2 into a month. And soon, you won't just be dreaming of progress. You'll see it. Track the streak, watch it grow, and let your dream life rise, one visible win at a time. Number 5, build identity, not just results. Results are great, but identity is where real transformation happens. Most people chase external goals: lose 10 pounds, earn more money, write a book, and there's nothing wrong with goals. But here's the truth. If your identity doesn't change, your results won't last. The key to building your dream life isn't just in what you do, it's in who you become. Think about it. If you run every day, you're not just getting in shape, you're becoming a runner. If you write daily, you're not just producing words, you're becoming a writer. The small actions may seem insignificant, but each one is a vote, and every vote casts a ballot for the kind of person you're becoming. That's the power of small wins. They're not just tasks to complete, they're mirrors reflecting a new identity. Each one whispers, This is who you are now. And the more often you hear that message, the more deeply you believe. Here's where most people get it wrong. They try to change their life by chasing outcomes instead of upgrading their identity. They think, once I hit the goal, I'll feel confident, I'll feel proud, I'll feel successful. But identity doesn't work that way. It's not the result that changes you. It's the process. You don't wait until you're successful to act like the person you want to be. You start acting like them now. And the small wins are your training ground. Want to be a disciplined person? Do one thing today that requires discipline. Want to be confident? Do one thing that scares you a little. Want to be someone who honors their word? Follow through on a commitment, no matter how small. Each of these is a building block. Over time, they create an identity that feels earned. And that's the kind that's. The secret is to stop asking, what do I want to achieve? And start asking, who do I want to become? That one shift will rewire your mindset. Suddenly, success isn't about reaching a destination. It's about aligning your actions with your value. It's about living in integrity with the person you're trying to build. This is how you build confidence, without faking it. Every small win becomes evidence. You don't need motivation. You've got proof. You don't need to convince yourself. You've seen yourself follow through. You begin to trust yourself. And that trust is the foundation of any meaningful dream. So here's your challenge. The next time you go to take action, don't just ask if it will move you forward. Ask if it aligns with your identity. Is this something the person I'm becoming would do? If the answer is yes, then that small win is far more than a step. It's a vote for your future. Your dream life is not just a place you arrive at. It's a reflection of who you are. And who you are is shaped one small decision, one aligned action, one quiet win at a time. Build identity. The results will follow. Number 6. Stay in the game long enough to win. Here's the final truth. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they quit too soon. They stop 3 feet from gold. They give up when progress slows. But building your dream life isn't about instant gratification. It's about endurance. The people who win are the ones who keep showing up. Day after day, week after week, long after the excitement fades. Every dream hits resistance. Every path to growth includes plateaus, setbacks, and doubt. That's not a sign you're off course. It's a sign you're on the real path. Progress rarely moves in straight lines. It moves in waves. You show up, nothing seems to change. Then suddenly everything does. Because you stayed in the game long enough for the compound effect to kick in. The gym isn't crowded in December. It's packed in January and empty by February. Why? Because most people start strong and stop early. But the real wins go to those who outlast the quitting curve, who don't need motivation every morning, who keep showing up because their identity is rooted, their vision is clear, and their small wins have built a foundation too strong to abandon. When you commit to small wins every day, you give yourself a sustainable way to stay in the game. You're not relying on willpower, or you're relying on habits. You're building something steady, something real, and that steadiness, that's what makes your dream life inevitable. Not if, but when. There will be days when you don't feel like it, days when you question your progress, days when results seem invisible. But on those days, remember, you don't need to do something massive. You just need to not quit. Do one small thing, protect the streak, keep the chain alive. Even a weak move is better than no move at all, because it keeps the engine running. Success is often a game of attrition. Who can stay consistent the longest? Who can ride out the slow days? Who can find joy in the process, even before the payoff? If that's you, if you can build that mindset, you will be unstoppable. Here's the hard truth. Most won't tell you. It might take longer than you think, but it will be worth it. Because the life you're building isn't just about a goal reached. It's about the person you've become along the way. Someone who doesn't just dream, but endures. Someone who doesn't just start, but finishes. Someone who has built a life of meaning, one small deliberate win at a time. So when it gets hard, don't back off. When the wins feel small, celebrate them anyway. When progress stalls, trust the process. Because if you can stay in the game, you will grow into the person capable of winning it. Stay consistent. Stay patient. Stay in the game. Your dream life isn't built overnight. But if you keep going, it is built.